Welcome back, everybody. This is my review of the He-Man Deluxe 1/6 scale figure from Mondo. This is the exclusive timed edition. This is the very first figure that I decided to go into Mondo's 12-inch scale figure lines. I pre-ordered it when it was available, and I could not wait to get it in my hands. I've never had the Mondo ones. I've only looked at the reviews, and I could not wait to get this, so I went ahead and bought Hordak, and that's the reason why I have the Hordak figure. But this is the figure that finally convinced me to go into it. So the cover art basically displays the three different types of armors that this figure comes in. It has this nice logo feature over here, and it's basic box over here, black. A little bit of description over there, another black over there, and it just flaps open. Let me see which side does it open from. So it's got magnets on the flap, so it keeps closed. And there is the figure right there. Okay, we'll put it out. And I also want to show this nice artwork off to the side. The figure being posed in that iconic pose where he lifts the sword. Oh, and I love that Castle Grayskull in the background. Much better than mine. I put the Origins Castle Grayskull as kind of like a background. So let me take out the figures and the accessories, and we'll look into those right now. Okay, so my videos are usually spur of the moment. I don't really have any format on how I do things. So I've decided to show you what's basically coming out of the tray and how it looks from the tray, and then we'll do some quick showcasing of the figures and the accessories. So first off, I'm going to remove the hands that it's coming out with. Let me just put this over here so it can focus much better. That's one of the hands, left hands. And there's one of the finger pointing hands. And another one for a right hand. And then obviously it's going to come with closed-fisted hands. Now, one of the things I did notice when I was looking at some of the She-Ra figures that's being unboxed out there is that the detail in the sculpture is not as detailed as I would have liked it, and also the paint. It seems like it's just one solid paint, right? I even noticed that the fingernails aren't really painted, which is not really that disappointing with this He-Man figure. But with the She-Ra figure, I feel like her fingernails should have been painted instead of just sculpted on. But yeah, that's it for the hands. But I just want to show that for the price that we're getting, I do wish that either the paint job would have been a little bit more better, because this is just one solid flesh paint. That would probably make the sculpt stand out much more. Okay. All right, so basically, let's see if we can stand this up so you can see what's coming out of the tray without things falling off. I'm going to be careful. So basically it comes with the regular power sword, a translucent power sword that has, I guess it will show off like a lightning effect. Well, you know, if you want to show it like that. The undamaged and battle damaged symbol for the battle armor. This is going to be the sheath and the knife for the calf. It's going to come with 3 head sculpts and the figure itself. Okay, and then the bottom tray, you basically lift this, and the bottom tray, sorry for the sound, basically holds the extra accessories. Extra accessories comes with the big shield, 2 gauntlets, another armor. This is the power effect, probably from... Oh, that's from the Power Punch. Yeah. And then the battle axe, the chest armor, Another shield. This basically looks like one of those, because the old ones, I'm sure you know, it's the, what would you call that? Like the gunpowder, just click it to make it bang. I remember when it was when I was younger, but not anymore because I'm old. Part of the stand. The stand is the same thing that it came with the Hordak. It's basically just this one. So now let me take them out of the box, out of the packaging, and we'll look at them some more. I'll be right back. All right, now slight confession. When I was younger and I saw He-Man, I loved watching the cartoons. I really do. But the figures I wasn't really too in love with because of the squatty, bulky look that they had. Plus, I wasn't really that. My family wasn't really that rich, so I didn't have the He-Man figures when I was younger as a toy. I didn't really have much toys, which is why I'm compensating now in my old age. But I only started collecting He-Man toys from the Masters of the Universe Classics, and only a few of them. So when this new stuff from Mattel came in, I started buying those to compensate for the lack of He-Man figures that I have in my collection. So here he is, He-Man, out of the box, as it came out packaged. So I'm just going to have him standing right here really quickly. We'll have him just so he's looking at the camera. And we're going to go through the accessories first, right? So he comes in with, as you saw in the packaging, 2 other head sculpts. This is very, very reminiscent of the original He-Man toy. I really doubt I'm going to use this to display him with. And here is the angry face of He-Man. Now, this can definitely need just a little bit more paint application, because the teeth, if it would just focus, let me see, this will allow it to focus. The teeth, if you can see it, it's really detailed, but it's too white. So maybe a slight wash will bring it out. It really depends on what kind of what you want to do. Just a little bit more paint application would make this thing pop out so much better. But the sculpt is there. This head sculpt is so much better than the original one that Mondo came out with. And look at the hairstyle, so much better. Yeah, and then the one that's currently on the figure, it might come off as plain, but in hand, it's really not bad. It's really, really good. The features on the face is sharp. It's prominent. So what's basically happening is, even though the paint application is very, very simple, once you have shadows being casted, you're basically seeing all that sharpness of the angles of in the face really popping out. So I really do like that. He has a very, very stern face, not necessarily angry, but very stern. The body paint, weirdly enough, does have highlights and shadows and shadowing in the paint job, right? So now, from the reviews that I've been seeing, the where it suffers is because the joints sometimes can be tight. There might be some paint rubbing. So I'm going to be extra careful in how I'm moving this, basically being aware of where the joints are and how they're moving and rotating, so they're not causing too much paint rub. So the head basically goes, all around. It's very loose though. See? That's not good. It's on a peg, I believe. Goes as far down as that. Up like so. It does have a little bit of a movement back and forward like that, so that's kind of good. paint job on the armor itself is good. We'll rotate this one. So in the Hordak figure, if you guys remember, I was looking for, this is what I was looking for, so I'll know. So I knew where the arm would move. Okay, I'll go as high as that and rotate. I did not want to rotate that. I wanted to rotate it by the bicep. So let's see. The bicep, be very careful because the bicep is very tight. So if you're gonna if it's gonna cause some paint rubbing, that's where it's gonna come from. Okay. Let's see. Let's fix this a little bit. So there, and of course the elbow. The elbow goes as much as 90 degrees, but because of the way the body is designed, that's as close to the body as this arm can go, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't too happy with how they did that. This gauntlet is basically stuck in there, so you don't remove that. Very, very nice muscle detail. The only thing that is kind of distracting is this joint over here is very smooth. It really stands out if you have the hand outstretched like that. You can see that, right? And then, of course, the bull joint. Why do they use this so big? Because it almost disconnects from the sculpt. Which is what Mark Fairlane figures it used to suffer from. Very, very distracting. So it looks like we can rotate it this way. Stiff. And then it should rotate on the ball joint itself. Okay, the body, you can see the waist cut over here. Oh, very tight. And the pop-up syndrome. I did hear about that. The reason why it's popping out is because how the waist is sculpted. It's not a flat sculpt. There's actually an oval in there and then this ring. I don't understand why. I mean, I can understand why they did it, so that when it's there, you don't see the cut as much. However, I think what they should have done, look, every time you twist it, it's going to pop out. This is way too short, or this is way too narrow or shallow. So they should have had this deeper in and this one longer. That way it's not popping out as much. Or they could have designed it so it's much more deeper and just have, instead of a flat, kind of like either a half of a ball joint. Wow. That is really poor design. Because that means when you're twisting him, and you really don't want to twist him too much because you're breaking the sculpt. It doesn't really look that good. So maybe it's not really designed to be twisted on the waist. Obviously it is, but not by much. Because you acknowledge the fact that it's breaking the sculpt. Very weird. Now, how would it turn on this joint? Now, these are the articulations we weren't able to see from Hordak because of the Hordak has the armor, right? So I'm just gonna lift the arms really quick. This is kind of loose, but it's okay. You know what I'm going to do? Oh, that's why it's loose, because this one's not connected. Let me showcase the armor really first. Very nice sculpture. This is a new design. They made it more complicated than compared to the ones that they showed on the cartoons. And I'm still unsure about that because, like I said, I grew up on the 80s, so I'm used to seeing the armor a little bit less complicated, but that kind of works, I suppose. Let me just fix this pose a little bit because that looks so weird. And then I do like the two asymmetrical design from the different. Then here's the one from the back. Nice painted chest straps over here. So let's this come out from here. I'm not gonna even try. So let's remove this because I really do want to showcase the or try to see how, well, let's pop off the head now. Yeah, pops off really easily. Wow, look at how shallow that that peg system is. Wow, that's almost like the same peg as you would see on a 6-inch figure. Interesting. And now it came off by itself, so that made it all the more easier for me. Okay, so now we get to see the body for what it is. That's how they cut it. I really don't think this is designed to turn. I really don't think so. And of course you're going to be worried about the paint rub and breaking the sculpt. Interesting. Interesting. So obviously it won't have an ab crunch. Oh, kind of disappointing. Okay, so it has its own twist on the elbow over here. It's so weird because it's almost like this thing was painted and then put together, because now that the moment you start moving it around and breaks off that paint connection, it becomes kind of loose. Not necessarily loose, but the way it's reacting, it's like it is definitely hitting that paint on paint, and it's causing that little bit of stiffness. And the moment you break that stiff connection, like see how this one is tight right now? Let's see. The moment you break that, it starts to loosen up. And you notice that I touched it here and I squeezed it here. That's how I would do it first, to kind of break it. Some people would dip it in hot water. You can do that too. I just didn't want to do that right now. This one is loose, so it seems like it should be removable. Let's try and see if it is removable. And it is. And obviously it would have to be, because these two red gauntlets are to replace it. The good thing is, I believe in the reviews of the first one, these hands were popping off quite easily, and it seems like they've fixed that a little bit. Now, here's the, what would you call this? Not a kilt, but underwear that he's wearing. So what they did is it seems like this is a separate piece, and they put this on and then they put this on top. So it really does look like it's underneath this waist, right? Unfortunately, mine looks like there's a piece that may be coming out. But I really do like it. I definitely like it better than the leather look that the original one came in. That's one of the reasons why I didn't purchase that one, because that's like leather. That's not what He-Man had. He had this furry loincloth. And then underneath the loincloth has, as other earlier reviews have shown, it does have the plastic loincloth underneath there. So it does have, as I said, some basic shadowing, nice musculature on the thighs, and here's the knee. It's kind of like off to the side, which is kind of weird. And it does have, this one is not attractive, right? This color, different color on the hands, but it does have, and again, it's stiff. Bends here and then it will bend there. Okay, so now it's ready to kick somebody. That's design. I'm not really, that was one of the design choices they made on the sculpture on the joints. I don't understand why these companies can't just copy the design of other companies. It's not like those are copyrighted or anything. I'm sure they can, and no, they're not going to get followed. See how this thing is loose? That's probably because it's gotten kind of unglued for mine, or it's not. See, this one is, I'm not pulling it really too much, right? But it kind of, see how this thing is somewhat lifted? This is nice and tight, right? You can see that all around. And this one is a little bit up, so I think might be needed some, maybe white glue. The sculpting on the feet is really well done. and it does have a cut over here to allow you the movement of the feet. Okay, I see it. Okay, so that's how it looks like. That could have been done better too, because now you're breaking the sculpt. A lot of sculpt breaking when you're doing poses on the figure, and I feel like it could have been designed much better. And we'll do some comparisons. I feel like it should have been a very, very unfair comparisons, but it's weird how this thing is turning out to be. I'm gonna put on the angry hair because I'm feeling kind of angry. Not really, but well, let's see. Same. Okay, this one's less loose than the other one. Interesting. Interesting. Again, a little bit of shadowing on the teeth would have been nicer. So let's see. Let's test it with. I'm just all over the place, aren't I? So now I'm gonna show you. Here's the chest piece armor. Really, really nice sculpture. Really nice. This is the magnet. Pops off like that. Oh, it's by magnet as well. These are owned by magnets. That's a good choice. That is a very good choice. That means you're not going to get a lot of rubbing and all that stuff when you're removing it and all that stuff. I'm going to put in the battle damage emblem. Very nice done. Very nice job. Choosing to have it as a magnet. Obviously, you're going to see some sort of space in between. I feel that's a good trade-off for the fact that it's not a hassle removing it and putting a new one in. Not a hassle at all. I feel like that was a good choice on their part to have this magnetized by connection. You'll see that it's very gappy over here. That's fine. That will prevent any kind of rubbing on the body. That looks very good. Very reminiscent of the battle armor He-Man. Obviously, once you have this is the back. Okay, once you have the armor on, just be careful. Just remember, it's a very expensive toy. It's not the kind of toy that you give to your kid to best play around with. So if you want to move it around, just be careful on how you do it. And since we don't need... interesting. Okay, so it doesn't look awkward having the armor on the body. It doesn't look awkward. What I mean by that is the distance from the armor to the head. It doesn't look like it's stumpy looking. It fits perfectly well. My ankle, the one that I moved over here, is loose. It was a loose even before, so not very happy with how unstable it seems to be. While he's up there, let's look at the shield. Here's the shield. It comes with nicely painted, and here's the back. You know what I feel like when I'm looking at the stuff that I'm seeing right now? It's 80% there. Paint job is 80 to 85% there. It's that extra 10 to 15% that would have made this awesome. What I mean by that is it needs just a little bit of wash, because the paint job is there. Just a little bit of wash to highlight these dings and corners over here. I feel like it would have escalated this piece better. And here's the shield that comes with this armor. And I believe that with the shield, you can use it as a... am I right that you can use it like that? Yeah. I only wonder because obviously the groove in there is meant to fit the sword, but then it has this too. So I don't know how much more further you're supposed to do that. Is it allow for the axe? No, the axe is not supposed to go there. Only the sword. Interesting. Oh, I see. That groove system over there corresponds to the tip of the sword guard, so it sits like that. Okay. And while we're here, here's the sword, power sword right here. Very nice. I got a little bit of a nick there. Again, just that extra push of the paint would have made this wash much better looking. And while we're here, we're going to look at the battle axe. The battle axe looks good. It has a little bit of the wash that I was referring to. Pointed, but not so pointed like the one on Robin's spikes on his gauntlets. And here's the small knife that goes with the sheath. It's supposed to go into this ankle. Having this in a magnet system would have been nice too, because I feel like this is going to start getting loose eventually. And then this is the dang it, what do you call this? Cap guns. Cap powder. And then here's the secondary armor. And this one, I believe, in the old toy, would have been fed through. Where would it? I think this was, you twisted this, and it would. And this one is what caused the pop sound, right? It almost looks like it's supposed to go in here. I remember, like, there was a slot that you put it in, and then you twist it, and that's what was making the popping sound. So weird. They just included this for that, and it doesn't even go anywhere. So it's not like you're, very, very weird. But it goes with this one with a power punch, but it doesn't have, it only has a peg system. It doesn't really have the hand inside. I feel like, and you can see that there's no hand in there. I feel like what they should have done was just have the extra hand and have this thing wrap around. I feel like that's kind of a lazy design. Let me put this on. This is the reason why I had the Castle Grayskull in the background, so you have something to look at while I try or navigate to put this hand on. There. Ooh, it looks so stubby. Am I doing that right? It had to be, because that's a peg for the hand. But here's the shape of the hand, and here, and look at this. Doesn't that look stubby? Maybe it's supposed to be like that. No. It doesn't seem realistic that there's a hand in there, because if I see, does that make sense what I'm trying to say? It looks stubby. It should be a little bit more bulbous to make it seem like there's an actual hand in there. And we're going to replace this with a proper sword holding hand. Okay. And put the sword. This is how I always use my sword with Mondo. Ooh. And let me put on the regular. Oh, I should probably showcase the other armor, right? Now, why didn't they use the magnets on this? Why would you use pegs and stuff? I would be very careful leaving this on the body, only because, oh, okay, so it's not painted on the backside. This is just regular plastic, but because the body is painted, I'm just worrying it might eventually rub off or anything. It's not as difficult as I thought it would be to put this on, because it's loose enough, and this ball peg system is bigger than the actual neck peg system. But it sits nice on the body. It's kind of sculpted this way, so it does have, it already contains the natural curvature of the shoulder, or this part of the body. Okay, so it's not like bulky. That actually works pretty well too, that design. Right, look at that. So it's not like it's not very noticeable to say that, oh, it's just the armor doesn't look right. No, it fits perfectly well. Okay, so I'll be right back, and I'll put on the original, the way I'm gonna have them displayed, because I feel like that'll be best. I'll be right back. All right, you know what I've decided to do? I've decided to put on the different armors, different looks that this figure is capable of doing, but I just decided to do it off camera. I'll just make it easier for me, and make the videos a little bit shorter. However, I have to warn you that something did happen while I was moving some things around, and I will talk about that some more later on. But basically, I have him holding the axe, a shield with the sword scabbarded onto the front of the shield. Very nice looks. And again, the way they constructed and designed the armor pieces with the secondary set ones, it doesn't put it out of place. They fit very, very nicely together. So let me switch on to the other one, the Power Punch He-Man look, and I'll show that off to you guys really quickly. And there he is with the Power Punch style He-Man. I put on the glowing sword with the glowing hands, and the red gauntlets and the red armor. And I put on the goofy head just to show it off. Definitely you can see that the yellowish is cartoonish. The yellowish hair is very, very cartoon based, and the head, actually the head almost fits the style, because the body is very, very muscular anyway. I feel like if they had changed the hair a little bit more towards this color, it probably would have even looked better. But the hair just really basically just pops it out of like completely. It's like a custom, and you just grab this head from a different one. Completely messes around with the style. But they did offer it, and yeah, I'm okay with it. But that hand, it still looks very, very stubby to me. So, yeah, I'm not too keen on that. Anyway, that's it for the accessory. So now we're gonna go more in-depth review of this figure, right? With the faults and my opinions and everything. I'm gonna go switch back to the regular armor, and I'll be right back. And we're gonna talk some more about this figure, its faults, my tips on how to do things with this one, because you got to be careful with this figure. You got to be very careful with this figure. I will be right back. Okay, I'm hoping you've stuck around long enough. This is the important part of the review. This figure looks great. If you can pose it, it definitely has a shelf presence. Like I said, the paint 80%. If it had been pushed a little bit more, it would have been an awesome figure to look at. Oh God. So, my opinion. At first, this was an oh boy figure. Not a good oh boy. This is oh boy figure. Right? when I was moving it and all that stuff, okay, the articulation is not top notch. I knew what I was going into because I've seen reviews of the other Mondo figures. Oh boy. So, you know, so nothing particularly that jumps out of place. Okay. So when I was messing around with it with the first armor, and I was doing it off camera, if you guys have seen my videos, you've seen I'm very careful when I'm moving or posing these figures because I know they're brittle. So here's what I was doing, right? So I was replacing the head, and you saw that the peg system in the head is very easy. It's very easy to move. So I was pulling on this, and I was holding it by the waist, and I was holding like this with my fingers like that. Pull this, pull this, pull this, and poop. What? Yes, that's not normally how the waist looks like. When you pull the waist off, and it's not that hard to pull because this thing pops off. Anyway, that's how it's. You've seen my review earlier, and you know that's how it's supposed to look like. So what is this? It popped off the glue. It's not, nothing's broken. The problem is, see, if you can see the inside where it's supposed to connect here, where they glued it, this thing has a small nub from the pour, from the casting, and they didn't sand it on properly. So when they glued it, it didn't create a glue bond for the whole surface. It only, can you see that glue mark right there? That one? That was the only part of the surface that glued in to the bump that they didn't sand. So the glue was very weak, and it's not glued to the side, so it just popped off. Boink. I'm like, okay, but nothing's broken, so it's just a glue problem. Okay, I can live with that. I'll just maybe sand this off, and then I'll glue it here as well to make that better. But am I supposed to do that for a 250 figure? Am I supposed to do that? Oh boy, you guys will be pissed, right? Very pissed. Now the other thing I was going to show you guys, when you're putting these hands in and you're putting the sword, I don't do it like this with the figure. No, I don't do that. What I usually do is I'll pop off the hand. I'll do it now because it's so much more easier to handle it with just the hand and the sword, and then getting some paint chippings over there, and then I'll work it in like that, right? And then the only problem I have is basically putting this on the hand. See, much more easier, much more safe for the figure. So that's one of my tips on doing that. Well, so I did that with a shield, right? Much easier to pop it on the hand over here, and then I pop the hand into the waist. Are you guys noticing anything missing on the shield since I previewed it? Are you? Well, I'll show it to you. It's missing the strap. So, while I was pushing the hand into the wrist, because I assume that when they designed it, because it's so big that it should pop, basically just bow out, right? Well, before it did that, it popped off the glue over here. I'm like, oh my God. So my old boy now turns into, oh my God. So I said, let me just push it some more because just to make it tight. No problem. Push it some more. And the bottom part pops off. Oh my God. So everything's repairable. Everything that I'm seeing right now that's broken off is repairable. But am I supposed to do that? Are we supposed to do that at this price point? Mondo, man. Can you please at least handle your fix? This is gonna, if I remove, I gotta be careful because if I remove this, this thing is gonna pop off too. Oh my God. Mondo, please handle your figures once they come out of the factory and see how bad this is. So they glued it right after they painted it. So, and the paint that they used is definitely not something that's because it comes off as paint rub. And you glue it in, obviously it's gonna pull off the paint if your paint's that weak. Look. My goodness. So I'm gonna have to repair this and glue it. Be very, very careful when you handle this figure. It looks very nice, but the material that they use and the design that they went with is pretty bad. This is basically, so I'm gonna bring this out now. This is the Mattel $29 figure, $22 figure. Has better articulation range, which I'm not making this as a negative for that, because like I said, I knew what I was going into. This has very limited motion. But the first disappointment was the waist. It's very, very similarly designed as this one. It's a waist twist. But this one's not popping off. Very similar design on the abs to the chest. Right? But you're not scared to move it around. Right? And did you notice when I pulled off this sword? You notice that? I didn't notice that on this one, it doesn't have that in here. There's no way for you to put sword in the back. Oh my god, the way he's handling that shield, it's so pathetic looking, He-Man. Why are you so angry, He-Man? Oh my goodness. If Mattel were to make this into this, if this thing had been 12-inch, and I'm comparing it to that one, oh my god, it would blow this one out of the water in terms of the value. Oh, let's talk about the value. $22 figure, $250 figure. Playability wise, the value is better in this one. Pose wise, this one's better because it's more better looking. The height definitely gives it more shelf presence. The soft cloth goods gives it a little bit of realism, but when this came out for $160, not this one, but the very first version of Mondo, when it came out at $160, I did not get it. I was tempted to because $160 at the time compared to a Hot Toys, which is going for $220, that's a pretty good, decent price. Compared to a Mezco 6-inch figure, which was going for $80, $160 is not a bad price for a bigger scale figure. But when they started messing around, when I started seeing reviews of the articulation, then it's like $160, and then the design choices they made in the first version wasn't pleasing to my aesthetic because I wanted this look. So I said $160, no, not for that lack of articulation, not for the paint rubbing, not for the design choices that they made. Why did I purchase it for $250? The $250, I purchased this because of the 3 different types of armors you can put in this figure. It felt like it's better. If it was $225 with 1 gear, then it's borderline, because I probably would have gotten it, but it's borderline value because the articulation, the paint rub, but I knew that the shelf presence would have been there. $225 would have been a good value for it. Getting 3 pieces of armor for $250, that was a good deal. And you saw it when it's on, it really looks good. But after handling this, after seeing some more the limitation of this, of it popping out, and that one, you can't even do this on that figure. So you can't have him holding that sword and seeing if you can arch his body like that. You can't do that with this figure. Wow. So I do somewhat regret it. Do I? Once I fix it, once I fix the issues with 3 pieces of gears, 3 pieces of armor, 3 different styles, and they all look good, but it's not like I'm going to be displaying them all at the same time. I'll probably make some sort of display stand where I can display the armors on a rack to maximize the value. But I feel like if I'm going to pose He-Man, well, since Battlecat is not here, I do want him posed as close as I can to the original when he's standing up the power sword. Once Battlecat comes in, I'm going to have him sitting there anyway. Okay, so the fact that this figure is breaking, the material they used is very, very similar to the material that Mattel used on this one. It's dense, but the peg system that they use is so bad it pops off in and out. They glued it so badly because of the tight joints, the paint rubbing. When you start twisting things around, the glue that they used is so weak that it comes undone. Right? Look, the glue in this one is weak. Can you see it? It's popping off. I'm okay with that because why? It's $22. Why am I not okay with this? Because it's $250. It shouldn't be doing that. I'll fix it, but I'm like $250 for this piece of thing. So what am I going to do? Initially, when I first started seeing the reveals for Trapjaw and Beastman, and I saw some of the She-Ra, I was really concerned because it felt like my wallet is going to be really, really bad. I might be spending $3,000 over a collection of figures. That is not going to happen now. So basically, I already have Battlecat on. I already paid for Battlecat. I need to have Skeletor with He-Man. Oh my god, that figure is gonna... I'm already afraid what that figure is gonna be like. I'm gonna get Skeletor once they reveal it, and then I'm gonna get Panther. In opposite to Battlecat. Will I get She-Ra if they reissue her? Because I do have Hordak, I probably will. But that's it. I'm not gonna get anything else from this line. Mondo, man. If it weren't for the fact that I want to have this in my collection and their counterparts, this is unacceptable for a $250 figure. I could accept a few blemishes here and there, a few damages here and there, but the material that you're using on these figures are so bad, and the way you're constructing them are so bad that they're equal to a $20 figure. Okay, so if it was equal to a $20 figure, how much would I be willing to pay for a double up version of this figure that I feel like would be a good price? $80 to $90. A 12-inch version of this one that's being sold for $80 to $90 would be a steal, which is basically what Marvel Legends was coming. Their 12-inch version was. That was a steal at $80 to $90. And it would be, if it was this kind of, same kind of quality and all that stuff. And then with a paint app, that $80 to $90, yeah, maybe it'll get bumped up to maybe like $120. And then the different versions of armor, I would feel like this figure should be around $160 to $180. That's assuming that it had this quality of build, not this quality of build, because this thing getting unglued, popping off, that's not that's poor quality than what this figure is made out of. So, my dear viewers, $250 is too much for this figure. $200 is borderline for this figure. What this figure should have come for almost like maybe 160 to 180 in terms of value. If they're going to keep this kind of production quality, yeah, you're going to be... My advice is pose it very, very carefully, very, very carefully, much more carefully than I am, and good luck with that. Okay, good luck with that, because I was already very careful with this when it popped off. So anyway, like I said, I'm still getting Battle Cat because that's already in pre-order. I already paid for it. I'm gonna get Skeletor, and I'm gonna get Panther. Not a problem. So I want to show you guys kind of, I suppose, what I'm interested in, because if you guys are curious, you can look through my channels and you can see that I do mods and stuff like that on my channel as well. So even though this was horrible, even though this figure was horrible in the way that it was breaking apart and everything, I'm kind of okay with it because I know I can fix it. For you guys that don't know how to fix stuff, I feel bad for you. I really do, because I think this is gonna break easily for a lot of people. So this is the custom He-Man that I was gonna work on even before this came out. When I saw this body, I was thinking, man, that's a He-Man body. I know, that's a loincloth. But now that I'm seeing how they did the loincloth here, which I really do like, they painted this. That's why it's retaining some sort of nice texture on it. And then they cut it off. So I can do the same thing with this one, paint it off and kind of snip off. So I'll follow the pattern this thing is set, copy it, and this one. But look, this can do that, and it's not breaking the sculpt. You see? Because of how they did this. So let's see. This body, as you can see, is much more massive than the He-Man body, and it's taller. Interesting. I wish I could put this head in, but the ball joint of this one is just off. And I was thinking of using this head sculpt, because it does come with two, to put it on the one I'm working on, see if it works. I'll start. I'm gonna be serious now in terms of finishing, or kind of having more progress with the custom that I'm making. But one of the things I wanted to see was whether I could maybe use some of the parts from this figure and put it on the custom that I'm making, and it almost does. So I'm not, see, and that's the other thing too with the multiple gear. I was thinking of swapping it in, but this is the wool box body. And look, this almost kind of fits in that one. And I'm gonna use cloth for the boots. I already have the leather and all that stuff. I think I already know what I'm gonna do, because man, the way they did this one, there's a lot. Any kind of articulation that moves it out of the sculpt, it breaks it, and you don't want to do that. I know it's a toy for adults, but how did this figure have that kind of articulation and not break the sculpt? And then you guys do it so awfully, so poorly. I know this one doesn't look good, and this one does, but oops, or He-Man. Okay, so now comparing these two. Sorry. Yeah, look. Now compare it. Which one's the worst in terms of breaking the sculpt now? This one is. The figure only looks good at certain poses without further breaking down a pose. My goodness. I was thinking of modifying how they connected the body to the waist by using magnets, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna put that much effort in modifying this figure. Doesn't seem worth it. I'll just glue it here. I'll sand that off, that nub, so that the texture, and then I'll sand this to make the texture in this one a little bit rougher, so I'll have a better connection, and then I'll glue the side so it won't come off. He-Man is so pissed. Mondo! Mondo! Thank you so much for watching my review. I hope this helped you in making a decision and purchasing any more Mondo figures in the future. I know they're coming out with Marvel Mondo, with Batman Mondo, and Mando. Be very careful with this particular product, with this particular build of the company. Buy it at your own risk. Buy it only because you feel like you really need to have this figure. I want to have this figure. It's kind of like with the Batman and Robin situation with Hot Toys. That's, oh my god, that's exactly how I'm feeling. Except those one, I didn't rip the rubber. Those one is just like, that's how I'm feeling right now. It's like I ripped the rubber when I'm posing it. You know, and this one broke. But anyway, I will see you. Man, I'm so motivated now. I will see you. The next video you're probably going to see is me customizing this figure. I guarantee you, I will make it work. I will make this thing look awesome. And then this will be my playtime He-Man. This will be my display He-Man. I'll make videos of this, and I'll figure out how to show it to you guys, so you guys can decide what to do. But it kind of looks good though, right? Standing like that. I just cannot touch it. I can't move it. I can't move it. It might break. I'll see you guys later.